Welcome to Tuesday Talks. We realize that life is hard. We all have questions that we wouldn't even think about asking out loud. The comforting thing is, you're not alone. We're all asking them. That's what this podcast is for. Each week, we're going to talk about hard questions and painful points in life. We won't shy away from anything. If you've thought it, we're going to talk about it so you feel seen and understood. Join us for our conversation this week on Tuesday Talks.
What is up, everyone? Welcome to another episode of Tuesday Talks. This week, I have Benny. Hold on. And Kenny.
Well,
that was nice. That was well.
I like that.
Pleasant. How are you guys feeling today?
I feel good. I feel like I have a lot of energy for some reason. Okay.
I figured these things out. Thought I'd incorporate them. I'm pointing at the board if you're not watching and you're just listening, but if you're on YouTube, you can see that I'm pointing at these things.
I'm better than you've ever been or ever will be.
I don't know if I had that loud enough or not. I don't know.
What if the sound effects are just like not in there
they're
at
not
all?
existing.
Yeah,
Just
we're
like,
just pressing buttons. I think it's working. I see wavelengths.
that would be
so
really funny.
That would be great.
They're listening to nothing.
I'm actually really nervous now. So before we get started, Kenny, you ate half a peanut butter and jelly sandwich last night?
They can't get past this. Yeah, I went home and I ate half a peanut butter and jelly sandwich last night.
Which half was it? The jelly half or the peanut butter half?
It was a half with peanut butter and jelly.
Okay, so it's
Yeah.
blended.
But, that's great. So what was your idea? Like, what was your thought process in eating half a peanut butter and jelly sandwich?
I didn't want to commit to eating a full sandwich, but I was hungry, so.
Interesting. That's
Was
a
it
pretty toxic thought there.
Was it an Uncrustable?
No, sadly.
Just even more toxic.
Okay, cool. What kind of bread are we talking about?
White.
White
You
bread?
are a
Yeah.
toxic individual.
Wow. Okay.
I feel like you're being toxic in saying that.
Am I being toxic?
Do you know?
Will we
if
find out today
if-
on Tuesday Talks.
I am being toxic, what do we do with this? Because that is what we are talking about today is toxic relationships and situations.
Poisonous sandwiches.
Oh,
Well, for some people, a peanut butter and jelly sandwich would be poisonous.
Oh,
That's
snap.
true.
We can't talk about that.
So,
sorry.
my
if
heart
you have
goes
a
out to
peanut-
all of you that have peanut or just general nut allergies.
It's not that good. Peanut butter is not that good.
But for those of you that
It's good.
can't eat Chick-fil-A because of it, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
That is sad.
that's just missing out on that holy poultry.
Let's, just...
Moment. Let's take a moment of silence.
I'm not going to lie. I didn't know which button I was going to press. I was really hoping it was the sad trumpet and not like the laughter.
That was perfect.
So, anyways, but yeah, today we're talking about toxic situations. That includes relationships, environments, whatever that may be. And so, Benny, what do I do with toxic situations?
Well,
Maybe
first, I feel like... Oh,
Nope. Nope. Ladies first.
thank you. I feel like... That was a long one. I feel like there's so much happening in this episode, but I love it.
A lot of editing.
Yeah. Anyways, back to
Okay.
toxic situation. I'm sorry, the 5-year-old in me. The buttons
This is
glow.
fun.
Look, they glow. I don't know how much I can turn this up, but yeah, they're all different colors. It's pretty. It's gonna really suck if these don't actually record. Anyways, back to toxic situations.
Well, first, I think we need to define what toxic is because we can't really know how to deal with the situation if we don't know what it is. Because I think a lot of people today define everything as toxic, like anything that's bad is toxic, and I don't think that's the case. So I actually looked up the definition in the dictionary so we could get like a hardcore definition. And it says that it's a very harmful or unpleasant, it's something that's very harmful or unpleasant in a pervasive or insidious way. And also, I don't know what pervasive or insidious means, so I had to look that up too. Pervasive is spreading widely throughout an area, or a group of people, and insidious is proceeding in a gradual, subtle way, but with harmful effects. So I think it's something that affects a lot of people, but slowly it may be a relationship that like seems great initially, but then becomes to something that's manipulative and abusive. Probably someone that's critical, shifts blame, is controlling, crosses boundaries, and is unempathetic. Are a lot of the definitions that I found and ways that I have seen toxic people play out in my life.
And I think it affects, when I was thinking about it, I think it affects a few different areas of your life, or it can, toxicity. And so I think the first one is emotional. Like you can receive emotional damage from toxic people, toxic relationships. But then it also can affect your spiritual health, your mental, and at times potentially your physical health as well. So these are areas, these are like the first places that I think they hit. Like if you're wondering if you're in a toxic situation, like check those 4 areas: your emotions, your spiritual life, your mental health, and your physical health. And I think you can look for red flags in all of those for sure.
So are y'all implying that this word toxic is a word that implies heavy things? Like that is meaning like this is a red alert, like DEFCON 1. Those are, I'm trying like this is like an emergency. I'm in a situation that I need to get out of. If I say I'm in a toxic situation, or I'm in a toxic relationship, or have a toxic friendship.
Yeah, I mean, I would say that it is a word that holds more weight than we think it does. I think we throw it around a lot, but it does, like, it has these meanings, like it is a more abusive relationship or manipulative, and so it is a relationship that I think, I don't know, requires us to kind of move away from and get out of, because it is probably damaging one of those 4 things that you just said, Ben.
Yeah. And I think it's more so a toxic relationship is one where you're trying to be one thing or trying to be one person, and this other individual is potentially dragging you or pulling you or hurting you in a way that, in my mind, would define it as toxic. So, for instance, if you have a friend who is only trying to get you to do bad things that are bad for your spiritual health or your emotional health, or they're just saying horrible things to you, or words that are just tearing you down instead of building you up, like things like that, or God forbid, abuse or something like that. Like these are extremely toxic situations. And there's a way to handle it. And hopefully that's what we're going to dive into today.
I mean, so that's the question really, is like, now that we've kind of defined it, I mean, what do I do with the toxic? We'll just start with maybe a toxic friendship. And I think it'd be helpful. There are 2 questions here. The first is, what do I do with a friendship that I feel is toxic but isn't meeting these markers that you guys are saying? So like, I'm not being torn down all the time. I just don't necessarily like this person, or I don't fit in with these people, or maybe they make fun of me and things like that. So I feel like it's toxic. But what I'm hearing you say is that it may not be at that level, correct?
Yeah. Yeah, I think we can just define it like that is just something that's just unhealthy for you, like an unbalanced relationship, or
some bad friendship.
I think there's bad friends, and then there's people who are literally trying to get you to go down a bad path. Like they're trying to turn you into a different person.
So do I just leave any of these situations? Like, do I just run far away from them? Like, how do I go about this? Because what if, like there's a lot of different situations that we could play out, but we'll stick with, do I just run away from these situations, or do I try to be Jesus in these situations? What is the proper step that I should take?
I'd say this is a really hard thing to navigate as a Christian, because we are told to like be the light to these people and to like reach individuals. So it's hard to find that balance of like, okay, how do I like maintain my own like health, but also be light to people? But I think if it's in a situation where they are influencing you for bad, like you're talking about, Ben, then boundaries are necessary. Like you do need to create space between you and that individual. And that doesn't mean that you can't still be there for them and love them, but I think space allows room for like empathy and forgiveness towards that person. And if you just continue to have a close relationship with them, it's only going to breed more like hostility or just judgment towards that person, which isn't going to be glorifying to the Lord. So I would say like conversation probably first needs to be had with that individual to like address what they're doing and to create boundaries. Yeah.
And I think with boundaries, I started thinking about this is like in toxic situations, like we're not obligated to go and do everything with, if there's a person in mind, like you're not obligated to go to that party. You're not obligated to be in that relationship. You have the freedom to do your own thing. But I think with that, as a Christian, kind of that wrestle, like I've got people in my life that I don't allow myself to spend a ton of time with because I know that their influence overall is not great for me.
Yeah.
But I still want to be Christ to this person. And so kind of my thought towards it is pursue being a remedy as opposed to feeling obligated to something. So what I mean by that is this person I'm not going to spend time with all the time because I know the result if I were to just dedicate a lot of time to this person. But I can still be the person that person calls when they really need a friend, a good friend, a healthy friend, pursuing to be the remedy as opposed to part of the problem. And I think the perfect example of this is Jesus, of course. But when he was calling the disciples, some of these guys were coming from all kinds of different situations, like fishermen who probably had fisherman jokes and had their own like way of living, and tax collectors who had like an extremely bad rap. And when Jesus called these people, he didn't go and immediately like, hey, I'm going to start collecting taxes now because I'm hanging out with this guy. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
he wasn't influenced, but he was the influence. And so I think that's the difference here with how to handle toxic people is you can still love them and be around them to some degree, but you need to pursue to influence in a positive way as opposed to being influenced.
Yeah.
And I think to your point, I think that comes with space.
Yeah.
So that's just a thought that I had with that.
So what are boundaries? If we're going to talk about boundaries in like toxic situations, environments, all these things, what does that look like? Because my tendency is to just say, all right, cutting you off completely, so goodbye.
Yeah.
So what do boundaries in these situations look like? I think specifically, let's start with just friends, because I think there's friends, dating relationships, and then obviously like parents. But we may not cover the parents ones today because we do have podcast episodes coming up about parents. So if you want to know more about that, stay tuned. We have a great podcast coming up soon about parents. So we'll start with like what do boundaries in friendships look like? Because for someone like me, I struggle to put boundaries in friendships sometimes because I feel like even though they may not be the best relationships, like the Lord has put them in my life to be their community. They need community. I have a group of friends that say that all the time. Like, oh, they need community. Let's bring them in. And like, so it's like, yeah, well, so what does a boundary look like in friendships?
Yeah. Do you guys some?
I'm trying to think through like boundaries that I've set in my own life with other people, but it's also like so much easier to create these boundaries as an adult when you like don't have to see these people every day. So I understand that for high schoolers, this is going to be a lot harder because these are people that you guys are probably seeing like
And middle school.
every day, and middle school. I'm sorry, middle school and high school. I'm not excluding y'all. Yeah, so it is going to be harder, and I'm sure that you're going to like be sitting beside them in classes. So I would say like don't agree to hang out with them a lot. I wouldn't hang out with these individuals one-on-one, especially. And you can tell them that if you need to. And I probably wouldn't engage a lot in like texting them or just engaging with them over like technology, whatever that may look like, social media. I'm trying to think. What do you think, Ben?
Well, and I think the boundaries are the same in whatever season of life you're in. So like, I'm 29. The boundaries are the same, but the effects are different. So for me, it's as simple as I'm just not gonna go to this thing with this person
Yeah.
or this group of people because I know that there's only bad things waiting for me there
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
whatever. And there's really not a whole lot of repercussions, nor at my age do I really super care about that stuff.
Yeah.
But as a high school guy or girl, I can see the boundaries having a lot more cost,
Yeah.
which is a really cool thing because that's where you grow as
Yeah, for sure.
a godly guy or girl. And so, yeah, to your point, like saying no to that party or that hang or wherever you're going is a totally okay thing, but it might come at a cost. And
Probably will.
And I think your relationship with Christ and your pursuit of holiness and being more like Him is so much more important than a temporary what this person might think or what this rumor might say or this person's the term when I was in high school was Jesus freak. And so
Right.
it's like
It's a little
At Toby
aged,
Mac.
but-
shout out to DC Talk, our sponsors. Yeah, just kidding. But no,
No, I appreciated it.
and I think so. Yeah, I think if you're in a situation where you're a teenager right now, like, and you're faced with that situation of like, hey, I'm gonna have to say no to this person, and it's probably going to affect me in some kind of social way.
Yeah.
I say like that's the kind of stuff that Jesus is proud of us for. Like, and again, it's not to say no, like, hey, I don't love you anymore, or I don't love you as a person. I won't be. It's not saying any of that, but there is a point where you have to say, this is bad for me. This is not making me more like Christ, and I have to say no to this.
Yeah.
But I will still be there for you if you call me in the dead of night and you are just going through something and you're on the edge or you are having a panic attack. I will answer your phone call. You can still be that person
Yeah.
and say no to the things that are bad for you.
Yeah.
So what happens if I then get labeled as toxic? Toxic. We keep, and I feel like every time we say toxic in this podcast, we are definitely like putting kind of air quotes on it, but at the same time.
Yeah.
So I get labeled now as toxic because I don't want to hang out with anybody, and I'm telling everyone that I'm better than them by not hanging out with them because I want to be more like Jesus, and they're not like Jesus.
Yeah.
So what happens then?
Well, and I think Jesus warns us of that. Like he says that the world hates you, it hated me first. So
Yeah.
I think that's okay. And I think that's honestly something we should probably count as joy.
Yeah.
But I think the flip side of that is then there comes the obligation or the responsibility of if we're going to say no because we don't want to be influenced by X, Y, or Z, we have got to be the real deal. Like we have got to be through and through committed to a relationship with Jesus and a walk with Jesus. And we have to be careful to not fall in a hypocritical trap. Say like, I'm saying no to this, but I'm saying yes to this. And everybody's looking like, what in the world?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
he's not going to this party, but he's doing this thing or living this life or being a jerk over here or she's, whatever. We have got to be the real deal, committed to our walk with Jesus and loving people through it all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If we're going to say no to things, I think we need to know why we're saying no to things. Like,
Yeah.
are you saying no to like going to a party just because you like don't want to be with those individuals, or
Right.
like do you know your like morals? Do you know like what's right and what's wrong, and
Yeah.
you like want to glorify the Lord more than you want to like go do that with your friends?
100%.
So I think we need to be asking ourselves why and get to the heart of that. I was going to say something else and I forgot.
No, I think that's good. And so we just have a little bit of time left. So the final kind of question is, with a dating relationship, whether I'm in middle school or high school, I'm trying to date, trying to figure this out. If I feel like that's a toxic relationship, do I, they may not love Jesus. Do I keep dating them? Or
Get
like, what do
out.
I do?
If you're in a toxic relationship, I mean, get out. I feel like that's so like, I don't know.
Yeah. And dating in middle school. So now that I'm a dad, I'm like, I don't want my kids to like do stupid stuff and that I did and like give their heart away and all that stuff. And so like, I think dating is something that shouldn't be a flippant thing. Like you shouldn't just like date anybody just because you think they're whatever. There's a lot of life before you're even ready for like a real committed relationship in a marriage context. And so I think at a certain point, unless you're like, and I'm probably a weird situation, but like I met Naomi when I was 15 and we dated like all through high school. So I know that is a,
You are the reason that I can't say like high school relationships don't work.
they can.
You are the hope that everyone will cling to because you just said, hey, don't date in middle school and high school. But also, I dated in high school and I dated my wife.
No, but here's what I'm saying: is in middle school, I still like was in. I was an idiot. But there was like relationships, too many that I'm proud that I'm don't want to talk about. But like. That was all before I was even 15.
Right.
And so that's just saying it's just like not worth it. So
yeah,
no,
that's all.
That makes sense. And we'll if you guys are interested in an episode specifically on dating, please let us know. We would love to dive into that. But Kenny, Ben, do y'all have anything else before I wrap us up?
I would say if you are in a toxic relationship that actually is abusive or like really bad where you are being hurt emotional, like physically especially, please like reach out to a trusted adult, whether that's like in your youth group or like church or school. Like please like contact somebody and get the help that you need. We are not like trained individuals on that, but that's not something that you need to stay in.
No. And abuse is very real, and it is something that a lot of people deal with. And if you're listening to this and you're like, man, I deal with abuse, and I don't know how to get out, I'm scared to get out, please reach out to a trusted adult, reach out to someone that is going to help you. If they don't do anything, like then reach out to someone else, because the situation you're in is not normal. It is not okay either. And so we want you to find the help. And I'll put the number at the bottom of the video. But I wanted to share this. The National Domestic Violence Hotline, which would be if you're facing abuse of any sort, that would be what you would call, the number that you call. And the number is 800-799-7233. That's 800-799-7233. Or you can text START to 88788. START to 88788. And if you're in a situation where you are facing abuse, please reach out. Please, if you can, find help. DM us on Instagram. We'll do everything we can to help. We can't guarantee that we can provide all the help if you're not in our local area. But we want to be a place where you can come and find safety and help if you need it. So our Instagram is LH Students, and we would love to connect if you need help. So with that, Benny, Kenny, thanks for being on.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Nope, that was the wrong one. Is it
Sweet.
this one? Nope.
Sweet.
Nope. There it is. Thanks, Benny and Kenny, for being on.
Good stuff.
Anyways, thank you guys so much for listening. If you have questions, please send them in to, you can just text Tuesday to 98173. That is Tuesday to 98173. We have questions that we are getting ready to answer, fire some up, and it'll be good. We've got stuff on parents coming up, different questions that y'all have sent in. So be looking out for that. And I mean, this will release next week, which will be a week after Early Bird ends. So if you haven't signed up for camp yet, you need to, because genuinely at this point, high school is, I know for high school specifically, we are well on the waiting list, and the waiting list is growing. Middle school is close to waiting list. So if you have any interest in going to camp, I would sign up. You only need $5. So sign up for camp. We'd love to have you there. But yeah, so sign up for camp. Text Tuesday to 981-98173. There we go. I can do this.
All the numbers.
You got it.
And we will talk to you guys next week. See ya.
Later.
Bye.